From the east to the west, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBacks, the Primetime Capper. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. And I hope you're feeling the same. It is time for the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTimeAngles. And let's go ahead and hop into it, man. We got a whole bunch to talk about. It was a pretty good weekend, the final weekend for preseason and everything like that in the NFL. We also had 0 week this weekend as well, too, for college football. Pretty much the kickoff weekend for college football, like 7 extra games that, they just want to play so those teams can get that out the way. But in reality, those teams literally just play a week early and they just don't play week 1. But it's really week 1. It's not week 0. Week 1 is about 7 days. 7 to 10 is about a 7-day stretch. It's really 2 weeks. So, yeah, big upset in New Mexico. You had Massachusetts have a monster win this weekend. Also, pretty good win for UTEP wound up losing to Jacksonville State. So teams coming into the Conference USA swinging already. So that's pretty cool. So pretty much let's go ahead and jump into the top news of the weekend, and that was the Cowboys have traded for Trey Lance. Why would they make this move when they already have an established quarterback? Well, we know that San Francisco pretty much quit on Trey Lance very early in the game. It wasn't really expected that they would do that. I thought they would actually absolutely try to, mold him into their guy. It seemed like he got rave reviews from everybody. And when he took over at the end of the season prior to that, where I think they missed the playoffs because Jimmy G got hurt or something of that nature, but Trey wound up taking over, and there was all this excitement about Trey Lance being the next guy up and being the next Kaepernick and being the guy who's going to lead them back to the promised land and be the guy that's going to get them their Super Bowl, all that good stuff. They hyped up all that stuff throughout the summer. Trey Lance is light years ahead of everybody, blah, 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 blah. And then we got to Chicago in a monsoon, and he winds up losing the game, a close game. And I thought that he did pretty well. I thought he was a gamer in that game because nobody was going to be able to be a great quarterback in that weather. I'm sorry. You can sit up here and act like, somebody like Tom Brady or somebody would have been able to have a great. No, nobody has a great day in that type of weather. Sorry. It's just not going to happen. It literally was a monsoon category 2 type situation going on there. So he couldn't beat the weather. Next week he comes out, breaks his leg. Next thing you know, the guy is now out for the season. He broke his ankle, actually. Now he's out for the season. He can't play anymore. And they say, well, you know what? We just got to throw in our guy. You know what I mean? Because Jimmy G comes back, he gets hurt. Okay, we're going to throw in our third string and don't mess it up. It's still Trey's job. Don't worry, it's still Trey's job. Shanahan came out and said it's still Trey's job. And then all of a sudden, Brock Purdy started playing a way that really suited the offense a lot better than everybody else who was starting at quarterback for the moment because the team was running hot. Come on, you had just picked up Christian McCaffrey. So there's a lot of things San Francisco pretty much did, and now they're gambling. And so pretty much they sent him somewhere where they know he probably won't be able to get his revenge right away. And that's Dallas. Dallas felt like they were a fit. They felt like they could really do some things with Trey Lance. They see exciting things about Trey Lance that they want to add to their offense as well too. But I think in the subtle thoughts of things, they know that Cooper Rush and Greer are not the quarterbacks that you think of to be a backup for Dak Prescott. They feel like Trey can sit up in here and he can actually develop with Dak. And I think what they're trying to do is if he can develop well enough to where they have an automatic replacement for Dak, because I know that Jerry's not giving him another contract after this. Even if they win a Super Bowl, I don't think he's still going to give him another contract after this, because it was already a hassle enough getting him signed up in the first place and then gets hurt. So he knows that the shelf life on Dak Prescott is getting shorter and shorter every year. So he has to be prepared for the future, and this is the way that you prepare for the future without worrying about drafting a player, because the draft has not been able to produce great quarterbacks in the last few years. You got Herbert and Lawrence, they're the exception, but the other guys, they're doing well, but Burrow as well too. Well, the quarterback position's been doing pretty good. Okay, let's keep it real. But before that, it was still a crapshoot. It's always a crapshoot. So Dallas doesn't want to go into the draft looking for another quarterback once they move on from that. They would love to have a quarterback already developed in a college, high school type of sense of the word, because I know they truly feel that Dak is really on his last few years as a dominant quarterback, and they don't want him as an average quarterback. That's what I'm seeing here. So good it's good that he was wanted. But I truly feel that the wrong team traded for him. I thought that possibly Minnesota would do something similar, because they have a guy that's actually on his final year on his contract in Cousins, and he could really help develop Trey Lance. But we'll see how it goes. But Trey Lance, he's out of that situation in San Francisco. Like I said, it's good to be wanted. Even though I feel like San Francisco jumped the gun because their coach feels like he probably won out in this situation, because he really slammed the gavel for Brock Purdy when it was all said and done, even though, pretty much he seemed to be forced to put in Trey Lance. And I know that they were at an impasse about who to draft at that point. And pretty much, now it's all over and done with. But they gave up 3 first-round picks in the process. So it really does not help anything moving forward for the 49ers, in my opinion. But we'll see. All right, so pretty much let's move forward and let's get into the Bolt report. And we have the Chargers this weekend. Had a great game this weekend. Chargers in preseason with win over 49ers. Now they have to cut the roster to 53 for opening day. We all know that San Francisco did not have the greatest preseason, because they weren't worried about preseason. They're just trying to make sure that they're healthy going into the regular season. But I don't ever like to see San Francisco be really bad during preseason, because it doesn't really translate well to the season. But I think that you have a Chargers team in place that has a lot of great things to look forward to. And then you do have some things that the Chargers do need to clean up as usual. I think that the offensive line needs to be a little bit more tougher, going into the season and everything like that. I know that they were just getting their reps in, getting their fill in and all that good stuff. But I think that that's going to be a key part to the offense being an elite offense, is the offensive line being a top 5, not a top 10, top 5 offensive line. That's going to really help this team move forward and give them a real possibility at the Chiefs. You know what I mean? They have to be one of the more superior offenses we've ever seen this season. And they have the pieces in place. Quentin Johnson seems like he's going to be very good in the slot, and also as an outside receiver as well, too. Mike Williams seems like he's about to be back, causing havoc. But Keenan Allen looks like he's going to be the constant again. He's going to be a very consistent veteran receiver coming in for this season. And then the guy that I feel like is going to really, really, really be the X factor is Darius Davis. Darius Davis wasn't a first round pick. He was the fourth round pick. He's a miniature guy. He's not that big. He's about 5'7", 5'8", but the guy is lightning quick. And that's something that the Chargers have not had in the last few seasons. Guyton seemed to be the guy that was going to take over that spot, but Guyton got hurt last year. And then they had some good looks from a guy that left for the Raiders in Carter last year, who was a college quarterback. He wound up doing pretty good himself, you know what I mean, as a little scoot wide receiver, speedy guy, X factor back, you know what I mean, the Dante Halls of the world, the Deshaun Jacksons, all that good stuff. So pretty much that's the element that he does bring to the table. Hopefully he can be a good route runner, though. That's one thing that I didn't see with him, but I did see a guy who can get out of his breaks pretty quickly and get in open space very fast. And it seems like he'll be somebody that's very good for the return game for the Chargers as well, too. The defense was really good at bending but not breaking. They didn't give up too many touchdowns during preseason. They only gave up I think they only gave 3 touchdowns, the defense in all, for preseason. So that was pretty good to see. And they didn't even have the starters out there at all. So the Chargers going into next week, I'll have more to talk about once we get to next week and everything like that. And I know that we're in the middle of it being cut week as well, too. So there's going to be some good guys that are going to be getting cut this week. And there's going to be some good guys making the team, but they're not going to be doing as much as they did in the preseason. And you hope that they can somewhat get some time as the season goes along. Once again, I feel like Elijah Dotson is a guy that you do not leave off this team, but I know it's going to be tough because Spiller seems to be more of the type of running back that fits the Chargers scheme. But Dotson has a speed that really is hard to get in the NFL, and he can accelerate so fast. And I think that the Chargers need an element like that. They need to be a little speedy team, in my opinion, and not just all about Herbert throwing these great bombs, throwing these good 10, 15-yard passes to these great possession receivers. They need some speed so they can stretch this field out and become a really dynamic team. And we know that Eckler is going to be the heartbeat of everything for this team when it comes to running, when it comes to receiving. And damn, he might even toss a pass or two this year if they feel like doing that. So it's going to be a really, really fun season coming up. The Chargers fans should be very satisfied about what they've seen all throughout preseason this year. And you know what? For somebody who's going to be covering this team this season, I'm kind of excited about what I see because I know that this team is much closer to the goal than they ever been. And I'm talking about even the year that they went 14-2. This team might be better than that squad going into this season. And I know it sounds crazy, but we will see. They're setting up the same way that Chargers team did. So let's keep our eyes on it and see where it goes from there. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward and jump into our next, which is going to be a fun one, and that's going to be this. It's going to be the and this is just to note, we've already started off with an ice cold pick 3 over here at the racetrack today, over here at Presque Isle Downs. So we've already hit our 3 horses for today. Three horses to start the day. I'm sorry. And so pretty much we just getting them home early. You know what I mean? We just getting things done. You know how it goes. So we're having a little bit of fun over here, and another winner for a winner. That's what it's all about. So we'll take it. It's 8-5, but we'll take it. Let's go ahead and jump into our next, which is going to be this. Actually, and that's going to be, we're going into the boxing world. We had a very good heavyweight weekend this weekend. I'm just over here putting up my third in a row. Ice cold pick 3, third in a row. Okay, so pretty much we are here, and we have Big Baby Anderson stays undefeated after thorough beatdown of Rudenko with 5th round TKO. The fight was really boring. Like, let's keep it real. And it was like a night full of weird situations. But as you guys can see, he came out with the Batman look. You know what I mean? I kind of felt like, we've been doing a lot of these masks and everything like that. I think he came out as the Grinch one fight. He came out as his school mascot his last fight. He came out with a pimp hat one fight in New York. And now he came out with a Batman mask. And I was like, I know what he's trying to, get that viral moment and get people to really, really be like, who's this dude? And everything like that. But this one was kind of silly. He kind of looked little bus ready. You know what I mean? With this one, you know what I mean? I know you're trying to entertain, you're trying to be different, all that good stuff. But you know what? This is just a very easy way to get cooked by goofy people like myself. So, pretty much it was a good idea though. Let's just say that. It was a great idea, but I think it kind of missed. I think he missed that free throw by an inch or two. You know what I mean? Because it just didn't seem right. It didn't look right. And the guy he was going against was almost like when Batman's beating up one of the extras, like when you wear the Batman fit, you going out there to go whoop on the Joker, you go out there to go beat up on Bane, somebody that's gonna give you fits tonight. Man, this dude went out there and literally was hitting a punching bag. That guy was okay. He had some good technical skills, Rudenko, because he's Ukrainian. But at the same time, he was just overmatched by Big Baby Anderson. And this was the type of fight they should have matchmaked for him when he was in Ohio. When he did his homecoming fight, he needed to have a guy like Rudenko who was knockout ready for him. You know what I mean? To where you can stop the fight. They put him in there with Charles Martin. That fight damn near went life and death. You know what I mean? But he needed to have that moment to show that, okay, the guy's not invincible. The guy has things he has to work on. And pretty much he worked on all that stuff, but I felt like he didn't really care in this fight because he knew that he was going to cook this guy. And that's absolutely what he did. But one thing that he did say after the fight, it was very intriguing, where he was talking about that he's in it for the money. He doesn't care how he looks. As long as he wins the fight, it doesn't matter. And when you start talking with that type of attitude, you're pretty much telling us or telling me that, you know what, I'll go in here and I'll get overpaid to get knocked out by a champion. I'm not worried about winning championships. I'm not worried about being a legend in this sport. I just want money. And you know what? These guys today, he'll say that, but next week he'll say he didn't mean that, because at the end of the day, when you get to the heavyweight ranks, you are in it for the money. But if you're a top heavyweight, a heavyweight with some real pop to you and some real movement to you, then you're going to want to be a world champion. It's not because the money comes with being a world champion. The money doesn't come with being a guy who can knock out a bunch of bumps every 6 weeks and be a prospect for the next decade. No, you have to put yourself in the fire at some point. And I feel like he could be one of the guys that's next up for one of these belts or possibly for the next Usyk opponent, because I feel like Usyk really does need to fight somebody like this, because Dubois' IQ wasn't there. We're going to talk about that in a second. But still, Big Baby Anderson, I think that he's about 2 fights away from a title fight. And he has to have 2 tough fights, in my opinion, as well, too. So it would be great to see him fight against one of these top-ranked heavyweights that they feel is, superb and is to the next level. I'm thinking to myself, he possibly gets F.A. Ajaba in his next fight. That could possibly be a fight right there. Or he could go ahead and fight the guy that he was supposed to fight in Ohio who fought Ajaba, but that guy lost because of a low blow. That guy lost because he kept low blowing and literally grabbed F.A.'s private parts on the last one, and because he didn't want to be there. And you know what? the guy wasn't even really that good. But I know since he's from Kazakhstan, where Triple G is from, they'll overhype the situation, accordingly. So pretty much, maybe he'll get that fight. Maybe he'll get the Ajagba fight. Possibly they might say, do you want to fight Charles Martin again and rematch? Because I know Charles Martin said on TV that night, yeah, he did a good job, but I know Charles Martin felt like he won that fight. You know what I mean? So, that could be something that could work out as well too. But I truly do think that he is in course. He is in line to get his championship opportunity. I think that though he just has to wait out these next fights from the top dogs and just keep fighting himself. But he needs to fight 2 step-up fights. No more of this, showcase fight. We bring him in because it's the main event, all that good stuff. You have to bring in a guy that is chasing that title as well, too. I would love to see Jeremiah Milton possibly fight Big Baby Anderson on the next run. And that would be a nice little fight. And then here goes a fight that will crack all of us up. Even though I know they probably won't let him fight Big Baby Anderson, but he does have a record to where the commission could approve him. Chris Lovejoy. That would be a lot of fun. Chris Lovejoy could sell a whole lot of tickets in a fight with Big Baby Anderson. I know it sounds really silly today, but just listen to me. If he was the book a fight with Chris Lovejoy, that would probably be the most hyped fight he ever had, because Chris Lovejoy knows how to sell a fight. And one more option for Big Baby. He needs to fight Big Baby Jarrell Miller for the true title of Big Baby, because before Big Baby was a pro, Jarrell was Big Baby. He was seen as the next one up. He was going to fight Anthony Joshua, and he got caught with steroids. So pretty much they need to get it on, because he's fixed all that stuff. He's fighting again, and I would love to see Jarrell Miller and Big Baby Anderson fight for the Big Baby nickname. And whoever loses can't use that nickname no more. How about that? That makes a whole lot of sense. That's the right type of fight. That's a good grudge match right there. All right, so let's go ahead, move forward to our next topic at hand, and that's going to be the big fight that was on Saturday, that Usyk retains his IBF WBA and WBO. Wasn't WBC. Sorry about that, because Fury actually is the titleist for the WBC. It was the WBO belt, and they had the IBO belt on the line as well too. I just didn't count it, but yeah, IBO was there, the IBF was there, the WBA was there, the WBO was there. So they had that working out for their situation right there, and Usyk retains all 3 belts, all 4 belts in reality, with ninth round TKO. He went ahead, and it was really a KO. He hit him with what they call a snake jab. He stepped around and hit Dubois with a straight punch that put him to the ground for the second time. Dubois did not answer the call. He was on one knee. By the time he got up, the count, it was too late. So pretty much when I say, but did the ref Rob DuBois with the controversial low blow call? Well, if you guys saw the replays of the fight, there was a point in the fight where Usyk got hit with a thunderous body shot that put him down, and literally it put him down to the point to where if we were in the States, we'd probably be saying we have a new champion, okay? Because the way he was hit, it didn't look like a low blow. It looked nowhere near a low blow. And now everybody, all of a sudden, they want to say that the belt line, waistline portion of the trunks, that's low, when it's not. I know how it works. The trunks are the absolute borderline of where you can go to. It's if you hit in the middle of the trunk belt line, in the middle of the top of the trunks that holds your trunks up, if you hit somebody right there, that's literally where your belly button's at most times, or up below it. It doesn't matter. But when you hit that spot, it's not a low blow. You're not hitting anybody in their testicles. It's like hitting somebody in the belt. You know what I mean? And when you hit somebody on the belt line, I've never seen a ref say it's a low blow. I know I've seen low blows, and I've seen very sharp body punches. And from what occurred, it was Dubois' best punch of the fight, and it wound up putting Usyk to the ground. Usyk was rivering in pain, and he was holding his stomach, not his nuts. So they really messed this thing up, But at the end of the day, Dubois could have took advantage of that and knocked him out. So you really don't feel that bad for Dubois losing the way he did because the way he went out, but you do feel bad for him that the ref disrespected him like that the ref made it seem like he did something dirty when he didn't, so they could protect the hometown favorite. I know he's from Ukraine, but he has a lot of backing and following in Poland as well too, and that's why they had to fight there. And so they didn't want the champ to leave without his belts. So in all senses of the word, I don't ever really use this word that much. I don't really use it at all, but that fight was rigged, okay? They made sure that if anything to where they could fix something for Usyk, they would, okay? And Usyk is a great fighter. He's actually one of the guys that I do respect a lot out of all the pound-for-pound guys that are talked about the most in boxing. But after that situation right there, there has to be some real there has to be some real questions answered. And also there has to be some real, it has to be a real type of meeting or something of that nature about this situation, because literally they took this man's win away from him and they made it look like he did something dirty when he didn't. And we know if it was the other way around, it would have been a low shot. It would have been a body shot, knockdown, knockout of Dubois. They wouldn't have said he got hit low. They would have said he got hit with a beautiful body shot. So just know that the stakes are high and the game that they're playing is a shady one. It's that simple. Boxing's always been like this. Boxing will leave you with a bad taste in your mouth. And once again, boxing left everybody with a bad taste in their mouth after Usyk won this fight. You can even look at this picture right now and see that Usyk does not look like somebody who won this fight fair and square. He looks like somebody who had something handed to him. So we'll see. But hopefully this will be the precursor to the big unification fight with Tyson Fury. So then we can clean up that. So then we can clean that up to have one direct champion, and then possibly the winner of Wilder and Joshua gets the winner of that fight, so we can see who the true top heavyweight truly is in the world, because we have to get to that moment. And you know what? There's a lot of us rooting for Deontay Wilder because we want those belts back in the States. But honestly, if I was all for the sanctioning bodies, or at least just the IBF, WBA, and WBC, you know what I would do? I would really start taking belts. Okay, you want to fight that guy? That guy's not sanctioned with us. We taking a belt. That's what they used to do in the 80s. That's what they used to do in the 90s. That's what they used to do in the 2000s. If the sanctioning body did not want to sanction your fight, they'll just take the belt and move on and let their top two contenders fight for it. And I feel like that's what we're at that point right now. Tyson Fury cannot go without fighting a world champion after Nagano. Okay, he can get his little waiver for this one because it's a carny money fight. But for the next one, if he doesn't decide to fight somebody that's on that WBC ranked list, that's in the top 5, they need to strip the belt and not even have a back and forth about it. The man said he retired. The belt should have been taken that day. So, there's a lot of things that these sanctioning bodies have to clean up. I'm sorry. They have to clean them up. If they're going to strip Muhammad Ali, the greatest of all time, of his belts for refusing to fight guys, then they need to do the same exact thing to Tyson Fury. You just have to make it make sense. But all in all, boxing right now is a hotbed for a lot of different situations. and they're all situations that are helping the sport get a lot of eyes on it and a lot of talk about it as well too. Well, especially amongst the boxing, the boxing media and the boxing fans worldwide, because now boxing fans have become somewhat a part of the whole party because the way that the boxers do interact on Twitter and everything like that. So with that, we could talk about this all day, but I'm going to go ahead and we're going to wrap this up. And we're going to take our first break. When I get back, we're going to go ahead and jump into some Blue Crew Daily, the MLB Pennant Race, and the three most important games for tonight. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Cap.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to this week's science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, so here we are. We are back with the show, and pretty much this is the thing. Let's go ahead and jump into it. This is going to be the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers, and pretty much here we are. We have a Astros. We have the Dodgers, who are in place to win another West title. No problem. They are at 80 wins right now. Dodgers. Probably that's about the Dodgers have probably went over 80 wins for like the last 15 years, you know what I mean? Or 20 years. I don't know. The Dodgers have just been, a kick at it. They just been such a great team for such a long time, man. And pretty much now, the Dodgers want to get to winning World Series, all that good stuff. Bobby Miller is on the mound tonight, 7-3, 3.86 ERA, 75 strikeouts on the year, 25 walks as well. Then you also have Zach Gallen, who's 14-5 coming into the night. Cy Young candidate as well. 3.11 ERA, 179 strikeouts on the year as well, too. And Gallen has pitched the Dodgers very well this year. I think he's 2-0 against them, to be exact. I think he's 2-0 because I know he pitched against the Dodgers in the opening series of the season, and I know he pitched against them in the next series that they played. And you guys, it's crazy. The Dodgers and Diamondbacks haven't seen each other since that point. The Diamondbacks actually hold the season series lead right now, 5-3. That's like you say to yourself, wow, you know what I mean? But, another 4-game series between these two teams, and they're looking to go ahead and, the Dodgers swept them out. So, right now it's 5-5. So this right here will be their final series of the year. But does it really matter with the Dodgers up 11 games already? Like, the Dodgers literally are already pretty much just getting themselves prepared to clinch a playoff spot. They're sitting here 12 games ahead, and they're 13.5 ahead of San Francisco. And that's crazy because at one point they were only a half a game ahead of both those teams. And at one point, both those teams were ahead of the Dodgers. So the Dodgers have flipped the script since about 2 weeks before the All-Star break. And I keep saying this, and I kind of keep saying it out loud so people can understand that. Dodgers find themselves 4 games outside of the number 1 seed at this point as well, too. And the Dodgers are in the best possible position that they could be in, because they would get the winner of the Brewers and Diamondback series if we started to play playoffs today. And I would think that both those teams would not be as difficult playing as the Padres were, who a team that already has a chip on their shoulder and already hell-bent on trying to beat you on every given stop. So, you got a Dodgers team that's looking up and only looking up at this point right now. And they got a quick 4-game series here that, like I just previously said, is going to be it's just to get through the motions. It's a series that ends the month, and pretty much they start next month with a pretty nice they start Friday, new everything pretty much. And on Friday, they will have Atlanta in the house. So this is a possibility that they can catch Atlanta this weekend, but this will be a series that everybody's going to have their eyes on. And what's tripping me out is that they did not switch this game to Sunday Night Baseball. I would think that you would put this game on Sunday Night Baseball, but knowing how things work, it's still early in the week. So they'll probably change that. They'll probably change that around for Sunday, because it doesn't make any sense that the Braves and Dodgers are playing at 1:00 in the afternoon. Dude, they need to be playing at they have the best records in the National League, and this could determine who wins the National League this weekend as well, too, as the number 1 seed. But I'm looking at the Dodgers' final month. They got 3 they got a 6-game road trip with Miami and Washington. Then they come back home to play San Diego in 3. Then they fly up to Seattle for a weekend series with the Mariners. Then they play Detroit at the Chavez Ravine 3-gamer. Then they have 4 with San Francisco, 4 with Colorado, and then they finish up with 2 with San Francisco. It would have been a big deal this month. We thought it was back at the end of July that, that it was probably going to be a big race, big run, all that good stuff. But what happened is that you had a team and the Dodgers just run away with it, man. The Dodgers didn't care. They just said, we're going to run away with this thing. We're going to take this for what it is, and we'll go from there. It's that simple. And that's exactly what the Dodgers are doing at this point. And so that's why, I said this team right here, we don't want to get too excited. You don't want to hand them anything yet. But this team does excite you to the point to where it's like a World Series is very possible for this group. You know what I mean? Like, it's like no doubt about it. You got Kike back, who's an instrumental figure in all 3 of those World Series the Dodgers played in when he was here. You also have very good players in JD Martinez once he gets healthy and back. And Mookie Betts, MVP. And if you don't get it, you got to give it to Freddie, because those 2 guys right there have played the best duo baseball, period. One of them got to win the hidden title. The other one has to win the MVP. But those guys have became the Batman and Superman of the Dodgers lineup. I don't want to say Robin, because, ain't nobody sidekick here. We with Dodgers over here kicking like Justice League right now. So we'll see how it goes. So pretty much with that, we will go ahead and move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into our next topic in hand, and that's going to be the MLB Pennant Race. And I already talked about the Dodgers a bit in the MLB Pennant Race right now. So pretty much what we have here is we have a very crazy race going on between a lot of really, really deserving teams, but there can only be 6. And pretty much right now, 3 of them are already solidified because they're at the top of the division. But when I look at the standings right now, when we look at the AL East, Baltimore still up 2 games. They're 81-49 to the Rays 80-52. Can you believe they have been the number 1 team they've been the leader of the clubhouse for the last 2 months in literally for the last 6-7 weeks in the East. Now Toronto going through the motions right now. Now this is not the division with all 5 teams over 500 anymore. The Yankees have been absolutely putrid in the month of August. They're now 62-68, and they're well out of this thing now. They're 19 games back, so there's not going to be a stretch drive for the Yankees. The Yankees decided not to go with the rest of the field. The Yankees said, call it a season and we're done. Boston is still in the mix. We're going to talk about their game in a moment because that's a big game for Boston tonight against Houston. And then, as I said, Toronto's sitting over here. They keep being kind of middling. They've lost their last 6 out of 10. Boston's won their last 6 out of 10, so that works out pretty good for them. The Rays are starting to pick it up just a little bit, but, Baltimore is still killing it. Baltimore has won their last 7 out of 10. Rays won their last 8 out of 10, shaved it down to a game. But the funniest part about it is when it comes to wins, they're only 1 win better. But when it comes to losses, they're 3 losses lesser. So that's why you have Baltimore with a 2-game lead in first place. But that lead can change at any moment. Now, you got Minnesota 68-63. They're ahead by 6 games. They can finally breathe easy for the first time all season because they were only a half a game up, maybe a game and a half up every week for the last 2 months. But now they've really separated from the Guardians and find themselves in key position to win the division. Detroit is 8.5 games back, but they're not going to catch anybody. Detroit is very middling this year. As you can see, I think Detroit actually does finish up like 70-92, to be honest with you, or 70. They might possibly get 75 wins this year because that's what they're kind of leaning at right now, because they're going to probably have a pretty good month because it's Miggy's last month in the major league. So, White Sox out of it. Kansas City out of it. White Sox, big disappointment because, that's the team I picked to win the division. But they are absolutely cooked. They are done. And they will be probably blowing up this whole roster when it comes to the offseason because they can get a lot of assets for the players that they do have. Kansas City, you already know that they were a building in process, so it is what it is with them at the end of the day. Now, Seattle is the hottest team in baseball. They've won their last 9 out of 10 games, and it's just been absolutely incredible. In reality, they've actually won their last 11 out of 12 after dropping 3 in a row. But this team has just been on the money all month, though, man. That's the whole thing. This team actually right now is 20-5 for the month. So they have played dominant baseball, and they've been able to win all these series in a row as well too. And all the series were pretty much sweeps except for the White Sox series in their last 4. So they're doing very good right now. They're playing great baseball right now. And, after they swept the Angels in Anaheim, that's what put this team over the top and put them in place to really become, them boys. But right now they find themselves up a whole game in the West. And it's crazy because it's like literally it took a 2-week stretch and an 8-game losing streak for the Rangers for them to catch up, and the Astros didn't do any better. They've lost their last 6 out of 10. So pretty much this opened up the door for the Mariners, because when I talk about the Mariners winning their last 12 out of 13, I look over here at the Astros, and the Astros have lost their last 8 out of 13. So 8 out of 14 actually. So that's not good for a team that's trying to chase another World Series trophy. And Texas has literally fell apart. Texas lost 8 games in a row because at one point Texas won 8 games in a row this month. And then they wound up, because it was crazy, the team was 12-2. And then they went on an 8-game losing streak and have lost their last 9 out of 10. So it's not getting better. They lost another series. They lost the Milwaukee series. They lost the Arizona series. And those were crucial series. You know what I mean? And now they got to go to New York this week and see what they can do against the lowly Mets. So we'll see how it goes. But this team is absolutely streaking in the wrong direction at this moment. You know what I mean? And we knew, and I told people, I said, look, the Rangers started off pretty okay to start the season. Then they went on a good run, a nice run. And then DeGrom got hurt, and then they got really confident in what they had. And now We're getting down to the stretch, and they are starting to hit the proverbial wall. And that's what's happening. I keep trying to warn you guys about this, that teams that are starting off really well are going to have a moment where they regress. And we keep saying, well, Baltimore's still here. Baltimore hasn't had their turn yet. Braves went through it. The Dodgers went through it. And you don't want to make sure you go through it during the season and you can still make the playoffs. You don't want to go through it the first week of the playoffs because you're getting swept. Okay, so that's where I have it with that. And then you have the Angels. They're gone. They're goners. See you later. 63 and 68. They're over there talking to the banks, trying to get the loans together to go ahead and pay Ohtani. And Oakland was never in this thing to begin with. They're 7 games away from losing 100. So, they're about to hit their marks that we all knew that they would. So pretty much it is what it is. Now we look at the National League. You have Atlanta, who's 84 and 45, absolutely crushing the game. Best record in baseball. And there's really nothing to complain about. And it's crazy because it's just like this race that I saw on Saturday. Echo Zulu, probably the best sprint horse in the nation, one of the best horses in the nation, went against another horse who's one of the best horses in the nation, but absolutely whooped that horse. And that's how you look at this East Division right now as well, too, because you have Philadelphia and Miami vying for playoff spots. You have Philadelphia, who's actually won their last 7 out of 10 games, and you have Miami, who's hitting the wall right now and pretty much falling out of the race, in my opinion. I already told everybody that Miami was going to fall off, that, they were exciting when Arias was doing all that hitting and was up at 400, but once he started getting figured out and things like that, it will kind of slow this team down a little bit because, it's really good. It's really great for teams when they have a 400, when they have a 350 or better hitter, because he can really move the numbers for you. But when he's not moving those numbers for you, you get into some trouble. And that's exactly what happened in Miami. And the craziest thing about it is the Nats have played so well in the month of August, they actually find themselves 5 games behind the Marlins. If they were able to have a winning record by the end of the year, this is absolutely a uptrending team for the next season because they have a lot in place over there in Washington right now. And the Mets, crazy to think about it, but the Mets are last place right now. The Mets got the biggest payroll in the division and one of the biggest payrolls in all of baseball, and they literally are in last place, and they're still paying guys that ain't on the team. That's a damn shame. Only in Queens, right? Okay. Then we got Milwaukee. Milwaukee's only up 4 games, and now Milwaukee has to turn away another team. It's crazy. I feel like Milwaukee had to turn away Pittsburgh first because Pittsburgh thought that they had a resurgence and that they were going to be in the mix all year. Brewers had to go ahead and end that, and now they haven't played well since. Cincinnati had their little run where everybody was, the Reds are back. The Reds are going to do this. The Reds are going to do that. And now the Reds are sitting 6 games behind the Brewers. And then the Cubs. Nobody wanted to talk about the Cubs. Nobody wanted to say nothing about the Cubs. But you know who was talking about the Cubs? Pop. I told you guys on 30 teams in 30 days, if this team can hit a groove, if they can get a moment, they will be right here in the mix, and they could steal the Central because they have the best roster in the group. And when I say they have the best roster, they have the roster that's been in the critical games that you need to be in to get to the playoffs and to advance in the playoffs as well too. And Cody Bellinger has just re-sparked his career. And I knew if Cody Bellinger could do Cody Bellinger things, this could really help the whole Cubs roster. And that's absolutely what has happened. Marcus Stroman's out with the hip injury, but he's a key part to things as well too. He was able to be the other consistent pitcher with Justin Steele, and then the other guys just have to show up and just do their due diligence. So now you see the Cubs right now, they're 4 games out, and they got a big series going on this week with the Brewers to settle up on who possibly could be the leading the division by the end of the weekend, because you have the Milwaukee playing. You got this 3-gamer going with Milwaukee, and then on you won't see Milwaukee until the end of next month after this. So they got a 2-gamer. They got 5 more games with Milwaukee, and so these games are very important. So pretty much you have the Cubs in the playoffs right now. That's what's incredible, is that the Cubs have worked their way all the way into the playoffs at this point. So that's good. And that's always good for the TV ratings as well, too. So you have that. So you have 3 teams vying for the number 1 spot. But I would say that it comes down to really what happens in the series. If the Brewers win this series, they probably will go ahead and walk to another Central title. But it's still, to me, going to come down to the final week of the season. The West, we already talked about it. The Dodgers is literally running away with this thing. But if the playoffs were to start today, the Dodgers and Braves would have a bye. Milwaukee would play Arizona, and Philadelphia would play Chicago. In the American League, Baltimore and Seattle would have byes. That's nuts. Seattle would have a bye. And you see what Seattle has done. It's just incredible what Seattle has done. And they would find themselves with a bye. And Minnesota would face off with Houston, which would be pretty much everybody would favor Houston in that series. And then Tampa Bay would draw Texas. And I think Tampa Bay would love drawing Texas at this point, because Texas is struggling. Let's keep it real. But Toronto's still sitting 2.5 games out. You got Boston sitting 4.5 games out. And I think those are the only 2 teams that are really still in the mix for this. Now, when it comes down to the National League, we have ourselves we got some big discrepancies going on. We got 2 games that separate everybody from the 5th seed. And then we got a game and a half that separates everybody from the 6th seed. And that's going to be San Francisco and Cincinnati, who are playing each other for the next few days as well, too. And then, as I said before, you got Miami sitting here 3 games out of the wild card spot. Now, they were the number 1 wild card team for a month. So pretty much now you have a nice race going on the National League side. But I think Philadelphia has pretty much solidified themselves as getting into the playoffs. But them still being 3.5 games up doesn't mean absolutely anything right now, because these three teams could flip. But before, San Diego was possibly a possibility. New York was a possibility for a bit. But now those teams are out of it. If the Nats are here catching up with you, those 2 teams are out. So San Diego and the Mets, just put them out already. And the Cardinals and Rockies have never been in this thing this year. So it don't matter. So pretty much, let's go ahead and jump into our next topic in hand. And that's going to be this. That's going to be the Guardians and the Astros tonight. And in this game tonight, where I'm going to go with this one is this. I'm going to go ahead and it's going to be a good matchup. You got some good pitching going on both sides tonight in this spot. But I truly feel that this game winds up being much, much better than folks think. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to take the under 10, because Chris Sale is supposed to be one of their dominant pitchers. Christian Javier is supposed to be one of Houston's dominant pitchers. So let's see how this one goes. Let's see how it shakes out. But we got 2 top 10 batting teams going at each other tonight. And I think they're going to be a little bit over-aggressive tonight. So we wind up getting an under 10 tonight. So I like that number right there. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our next. This is going to be the PrimeTime PK6, the over 8.5 with the Yankees and the Tigers tonight. Hold on. No. Too early for that. Too early for Talkin Tickets. Sorry. We're going to go Guardians Twins right now. Guardians Twins, as I said before, a very important series. Guardians 62 and 69, Twins 68 and 63. Guardians need to win this series to even think about even catching the Twins right now. Twins are up 6 games. They're feeling good, feeling great. When you get to the gist of things here, you have a Guardians team that does have their number when they need to have their number. And, you got 3 here, and then you got 3 more from the 4th through the 6th back in Cleveland, and that's going to be the season. So you really have to look at these games and say to yourself, we have to win both series here. If they win both series here, they would take 4 out of 6. That's good enough. That would shave you down 2 games. And I think that they will be able to get some love from their division rivals when they play the Twins as well, too. So there's a lot that goes into play. So now they're playing chess, not checkers here. So tonight, I like Cleveland to start this series off with a win. I'm taking them with the plus 140 as our dog of the day. So let's go ahead and move forward to our next, which is going to be this. It's going to be the Brewers and the Cubs. And the Brewers and the Cubs is pretty much my game of the day. Both these teams have been so good the last 6 weeks. And the Cubs have been good the last 2 months. But the Brewers have just been able to be a team that can just turn teams away. They've been really good at being the dominant figure in the Central Division this year. Even though they haven't ran away with the Central, they've been able to turn all the other teams away. Will they be able to turn away the Cubs? That's the biggest question. Tonight, I think the Cubs are going to play with a lot of momentum tonight. I think that crowd is going to be rocking tonight at Wrigley, and I feel like the Cubs do win this game tonight. I'm taking them with the minus 125 to go ahead and cover this game for us tonight. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, and we go from there. All right, let's go ahead and jump into Talking Tickets. We're not going to go to another commercial because I kind of went over. So pretty much let's go ahead and jump into the first group that I have here. It's going to be the WNBA Monday Night Bets. We have the Liberty money line minus 115. Also have the under 87.5 first half. And then we have the Sparks plus half on the Sparks first quarter tonight. So that's where we're going with that. And pretty much we move forward. And so now we have ourselves the MLB Series Bets. And in the MLB Series Bets, we have the Phillies minus 190. We also have the Red Sox minus 120. We have the Rangers 120 tonight. We have the Guardians who are going to be plus 170. You have the Cardinals who are going to be plus 150 here. We have the Brewers who are going to be minus 105 to win the series. Now, it doesn't mean, don't get mad at me talking about Pop, but you took the Cubs to win again. I'm taking the Brewers to win the series, but the Cubs to win the first game. You know what I mean? And then we got the Pirates plus 110, and then we have the Giants minus 150. So there it is. I added 2 more teams here this week. I've been kind of liking the series bets a little bit. Series bets are cool. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, series bets is dope because you could catch some real good value that nobody's really peeping on because they already have this foregone conclusion that, the favorite always wins and the dog always loses. So, you got to play this one smart. Let's go ahead and jump into the primetime pick 6. The primetime pick 6 is actually a pretty good ticket tonight. It's gonna be actually a 70-1. So pretty much we have the over 8.5 Yankees Tigers tonight. We have the under 10 with the Astros and the Red Sox. We have the Rangers plus 115. We have the Guardians money line plus 140, the Cards plus 115, and the Cubs minus 125. And that's going to be our big pick 6 ticket for today as well, too. We have our late ticket, which is going to be this. It's going to be the under 12.5 with the Braves and the Rockies. The Mariners are just cruising together. So, and they're playing the A's, dude. The A's are absolutely just a train wreck. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Mariners minus 135. I like the Giants tonight to up in the Reds because I know the Giants got some more fighting them. They've lost their last 7 out of 10, but the Giants can't let their season slip away like this because the playoffs are so close again, and they don't want to miss the playoffs because they look like a playoff team. So we'll see how it goes, but they're going to have to get on the good foot tonight because they're still chasing the Diamondbacks. So I got them tonight with the minus 135, but it's going to be a tough game because the Reds want it just as much as they do. And then we finish up with the over 8.5 with the DBacks and the Dodgers. I know it seems like It should be an under game tonight, but it's a hot day in LA, and that ball is going to be flying off the bat. I can tell you that right now. So with that, that's going to be a wrap on today's show, and I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. You guys are the absolute best, and with that, this is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. And as I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving, and I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.